for two. Kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two. Sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this. Multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the Armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! This is the Armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to episode 220 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We are here every Wednesday and Friday night on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, syndicated on all major podcast networks and streaming in the Going for Two app for iOS and Android. I'm here with my co-host, unfortunately coming off a pretty bad loss on Monday night. He's not very happy tonight, but Mr. Ryan Searfoss, man, what's up?
You couldn't have just, not brought it up. That'd been fucking awesome of you. But, glad football's back. Started rough, but 17-game season. It's a long time. Lot of meshing to get better from injuries this year for the Ravens. So it'll be fine. This week might be a lot rough, but after that, I feel good.
Didn't your college team lose to some no-name college team on Saturday as well?
Bro, yeah. And I had 5 fantasy losses within 5 points.
Oof.
It was just one of them weekends. But you know what? Football's back and I don't care. It was fun to watch.
Yeah. At least you got to enjoy Sunday. You didn't lose on Sunday and have to ruin your whole Sunday. You got to watch the Monday night game and got ruined on Monday night. But
Exactly. I mean, that's a little heartbroken, but I said it's one game. I'm not getting bent over shape over any format, real life or fantasy.
Good stuff. All right, joining us tonight, I believe this is his first time on the show. Lead writer for Going for Two, host of the Fantasy Cheat Sheet on Friday nights, Mr. Mike Hicks. You can follow him on Twitter at DropTheMikeFF. Mike, is this your first time on the show? I can't remember.
First time on the show.
Good stuff,
I was supposed to be on the show earlier in the summer coming back from Canton, but then I got stuck in airports and flown halfway across the country just to get back home.
That's right. Yeah, this is kind of the makeup date here for you. Good stuff. So for those of us that don't know who Mike Hicks is, and Drop the Mike FF on Twitter, give us a little bit of rundown of what you do.
All right. So like you said, I'm the lead dynasty writer for you at Going for Two. I'm a diehard Chiefs fan. I put stuff out on the Sports Me app, answer people's questions, and I'm always on Twitter. Always find me on Twitter, commenting on people's things, and if you have any questions, just hit me up on Twitter, and I'll definitely respond. Good
stuff. What about what do y'all do on Fridays on the Fantasy Cheat Sheet? It's a new show for us.
Yeah, so the newest show we have, what we do is we have 3 guys, Jay, Evan, and myself, and each of us come up with 4 things that we either quick stats, either tips, sit, start, whatever we want to say about the games coming up that Sunday. We also talk a little bit about Thursday night. One of my cheats for week 1 was start Sam Darnold, because I said that they were going to beat the Jets in his debut with the Carolina Panthers, and I thought him and Robbie would have a good game. Unfortunately, Robbie Anderson only didn't do that great. I mean, target-wise and catch-wise, but at least he got the touchdown.
Yeah, he got the touchdown. I saved. I think it was like 1 catch for 57 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean,
1 catch, 3 targets, 57 yards.
Yeah, you can't really complain for that. All right, let's get to our first segment here.
And now, the 5 101s.
All right, this is a new segment for us this year. It's a way to sort of get to know our guests a little bit more. So we're basically going to have 5 categories here, Mike, and you're going to give us your 101 of that category. First category here, what is your 101 band or artist?
101 band is Linkin Park.
Nice. That's a good choice. Yeah, I'm a huge Linkin Park fan as well. I kind of came up on Linkin Park. Ryan, are you a Linkin Park fan?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't listened to them in a long, long time. Other one on the radio, but I always enjoy them.
Yeah, they're one
especially
of my...
especially when I rage out or after my team loses.
Yeah.
It's great.
All right, Mike, give us your 101 comic book character. I picked comic book character in case you're a DC guy, but obviously Marvel, DC, or if there's some other off-brand comic book you want to mention.
Wolverine.
Nice.
Wolverine, baby.
Yeah.
Partly because in high school I was able to grow the big Wolverine chops, so then I just kept going with it.
Nice.
Why do you not bring those back?
Yes.
That would be awesome.
I would if I could at work.
Yeah. Yeah, work will keep you from doing that. That's for true.
That's
true.
fair.
Good stuff. All right, your 101 weekend activity not football related.
Game night with the friends. Jackbox. I mean, we have a bunch of games. And that or UFC fight nights are my favorite too.
Nice. Good stuff.
I just played Jackbox for the first time this weekend.
I have
no
idea what that is.
It was a freaking blast.
I'm going to have to find that out because, I have no idea what that is. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
All right, your 101 chocolate bar.
I'm going Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Nice. And it's funny because I saw your tweet about the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup on Twitter. That's what gave me the idea for that. I was like, okay, I'm putting that one in there. So.
Yeah. Hands down, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Yeah, those are one of my favorite too. I love it. All right, last one here. Your 101 TV show or TV series.
All right, so that was a little bit difficult, but I'm going more recent. I'm going to Practical Jokers on this one.
Practical Jokers. I've never even heard of that one. What does that come on?
It's so fun. What?
I'm old, man. I'm old and I don't watch TV.
It's literally four dudes that make each other do the most embarrassing stuff in public.
Nice. I'll have to check that one out. Yeah, only TV I watch, honestly, is if my wife wants to watch some kind of show and then sports. I almost never turn the TV on otherwise.
Well, scoop potatoes.
Scoop ski potato, scoop ski potato.
Okay, I'm going to guess that's a joke from the show. All right, let's get in. We got a pretty busy week to talk about here.
News and notes from around the league.
News and notes, as always, brought to you by the Dynasty Trade Calculator. Everybody hates bad trade offers, right? No one wants to be that guy. Never make a bad trade offer again with the Dynasty Trade Calculator. Visit goingfor2.com/DTC. Sign up for $15 a year. That's right. All you do is visit goingfor2.com/DTC. Get the best trade calculator for only $15 a year. Stop guessing. Start calculating. So the first note on here, a big hot topic over on Twitter, also a lot of it on Facebook as well, is this 49ers backfield. Obviously, Raheem Mostert's out for the season. Elijah Mitchell had a pretty big week one. Even Hasty got in on the act with a touchdown. Sermon was inactive. We all expect him to be active this week. Ryan, if you had to pick one of these guys to start this week, who are you going with?
To start?
If you had to start one.
I mean, it would have to be the guy who just had 19 carries for $104. It'd be Eli Mitchell. Like, it's scary because Kyle Shanahan's the devil, and he has no regard for a fantasy football player's well-being, and literally can change anything up at any moment. But there's no reason Mitchell shouldn't have a job. He played fantastic. He was not playing last week for mysterious reasons when the other guy got the hype. He did it. He performed well. It's his job to lose as of the moment. But that being said, I trust Melvin.
All right.
I was not blowing my fab like everybody was. I've seen 70%, 100% of their fab this week. I wasn't there. I don't trust them. I just can't do it, man.
Yeah,
your team's the devil.
Yeah, this team definitely doesn't really put a lot of investment in their number one running back. They play a bunch of guys. Let me ask you, Mike, if you're a Trey Sermon owner in redraft or in Dynasty, are you a little nervous with this Elijah Mitchell week one thing?
I am a little nervous. I think Elijah Mitchell is definitely going to be the lead carrier this week, but after this week, I think that's when it starts going more 50-50. It reminds me way too much, and it hurt me back then. It reminds me way too much of the Atlanta Falcons when Shanahan was the coordinator, and they had Tevin Coleman and Freeman, and whenever I played one in DFS, the other did good, and whenever I played the other went off. you just never know with Shanahan's offense. Period.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% there, and obviously I'm excited because I've been pumping Eli Mitchell since April, since before we even drafted him. I actually downgraded him a little bit when he initially got drafted by us. I was like, man, we got so many running backs in our backfield, we don't need another one. But then the more I thought about it, the more and more I liked him. Because next year Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. neither one of them are under contract, so it will be the Trey Sermon / Elijah Mitchell show. Elijah Mitchell, everyone thinks of him as a small guy. He's not. He's like 200 pounds. He ran a 4.40. So he's got the speed. He's definitely a one-cut runner, which fits in the Shanahan system. So on the surface, I love Elijah Mitchell. At the same time, they took Trey Sermon in the 3rd round. He, for some reason, was inactive last week. From what I heard, it was mainly because of special teams. Both Elijah Mitchell and Hasty both play special teams. Trey Sermon does not. So he got inactivated. Obviously, now that Raheem Mostert is out and Jeff Wilson's on the PUP list still, Sermon will be active next week. But I still don't trust it. I don't know if I got Eli Mitchell off the fab, or if I had if I had Trey Sermon already, I needed to start him. I'm probably not going to be going that route if I have an option. I'm in one league where I don't have an option. I've actually had Eli Mitchell on my taxi squad. I had to activate him because I don't have any running backs in that league. But if I had a better option, I definitely would go that route. I think this is going to be a hard backfield to figure out all season long. And I think that's the way Shanahan likes it, because then he can put either running back in there. You don't know if they're running, you don't know if they're passing. They can do whatever they want with both those running backs there. So I think that's how Shanahan likes it, and I think that's how he'll probably keep it all season. So good luck figuring it out.
I would say Mitchell's a trade candidate and Sermon's a hold. To that,
agreed.
You with to sell high on him. I think I'd try to move him as soon as possible and hope that eventually becomes Sermon, and kind of not the other way around.
Yep,
The only thing I'll add about Sermon Sermon and Mitchell is don't go and drop either one in Dynasty, especially.
No.
Well, the reason I say that, I mean, obviously you're not going to want to, but I'm just saying, there's people with shallower benches or whatever. But going into next season, Mitchell and Sermon are the only 2 running backs on contract.
Yep.
So even if they're split or whatever, and maybe Hasty gets carries or whatever, next year they're the only 2, which means they're going to have a leg up going into next offseason.
Yep, 100% agree with that assessment there. All right, let's move on to the quarterback here. Mr. Ryan Fitzpatrick out 6 to 8 weeks. Tyler Heineke is going to be getting the start here. I think I saw a lot of places where they actually want Heineke to start to begin with. He's getting his chance a little bit sooner than I think some fans wanted him to get his chance. He's playing tomorrow night, Thursday night. Ryan, Superflex League. What are you doing with Taylor Heineke here?
Hoping I have a better option.
Good point.
It's not great. I mean, it's starting quarterback in Superflex. I get that. But he's a downgrade from Fitzpatrick fantasy-wise. And he's a downgrade to every single person on that roster fantasy-wise. It's just...
Except maybe Gibson.
Huh?
Except for maybe Gibson. He'd be the one I think that might get a little bit of a bump.
He might get more volume, but he might lose red zone targets.
Yeah.
And red zone carries. And I don't know which end of that spectrum I want to be on. Hopefully he's close to the same. But there's a chance it could be a legit downgrade for everybody if he doesn't protect the ball, if he doesn't make the right throws. I hate it. It's not, I'm not trying to start him because he doesn't have a great ceiling. Fitzpatrick didn't have a great ceiling as we made him seem, but at least we know he'd sling it and they'd let him do it. We don't know if they'll let Heineke do it because they have that defense. They're going to want to protect the ball.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be really great fantasy performance from him, even in Superflex. It's just a depth piece and bye-week protection.
All right.
Luckily, we're not there yet.
What are your thoughts, Mike, on Taylor Heineke?
Yeah, I completely agree with Ryan. I just want to say I'm really bummed about this because I was really high on Fitzpatrick and that offense this offseason. And I said that on many occasions on Twitter. So I'm really bummed that Fitzpatrick's hurt. I think this is a downgrade, like Ryan said. I think this is the time to prove that if Terry McLaurin is the next Allen Robinson, and what I mean by that is he quarterback proof. But people think he is. This is the time for him to prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and I'm going to disagree with both of y'all on this one. Only I live in the Washington, D.C. area, and I think he is.
Oh, you're drinking the Kool-Aid.
He's Fitzpatrick-esque. He has no conscience. He's throwing those balls. I mean, I think he threw a pass last week to Terry McLaurin that he had no business throwing, and McLaurin caught it on the sideline there. And I think the Redskins. I'm sorry, the Redskins. I still want to say Redskins. The Washington football team still want to get the ball down the field. I don't think they'll protect him as much as people think they will. They won't be running this, super conservative offense. I think they're going to come out still slinging it, and I think it doesn't necessarily downgrade any of those receivers there. I think Gibson gets a little bit of a bump because Fitzpatrick was not a check down quarterback, never has been. His idea of a check down is to throw it 50 yards down the field and hope and pray someone catches it. So I think Gibson out of the backfield with a check downs from Heineke gets a little bit of bump in value, and I do think the receivers, at least McLaurin, I think will be just fine. I think we'll see tomorrow night just how not. I don't want to say good. I just want to say that he's not going to hurt their value because he's still throwing those passes down the field and giving them a chance to catch the ball. All right, Jerry Judy. This one hurts because I was very high on Jerry Judy this year. 4 to 8 weeks, he's going to be out. It looked worse than it was. He will be back this year at some point. When you first saw it, it looked like he was probably going to be out for the season with a broken ankle. Mike, I'm going to go to you first on this one. How much does this hurt this offense, and what does it do for the guys like Sutton and Fant that are still there?
I mean, this hurts a lot, and I agree with you about being high on him this offseason. I thought he was going to be the guy to make a breakout because I thought everyone was going to be all over the Sutton train, and then he could benefit from it. I think it isn't a little uptick. It's an uptick for Sutton. I think it's a little uptick for Fant, but watch out. I think KJ Hamler more than Tim Patrick. There's a lot of people that think it's Tim Patrick. I would rather go on the KJ Hamler side of those two and see what happens after that. And the other thing is I think there might be more passes out of the backfield.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on that Hamler call there because I think, we saw Tim Patrick get some usage this past week and people are thinking it's going to be Tim Patrick. But I think it's because Hamler wasn't really part of the game plan last week because he wasn't expected to play much. And I think now that, Judy is out, Hamler steps into that role, he'll be more part of the play, more part of the game plan. He'll be used the way Judy was used in the slot. So I'm with you on that Hamler call. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting to hopefully be the one to say Hamler, but it makes sense because if you look at their scheme and what their players' roles are, Tim Patrick is essentially Cortland Sutton's backup. He's a big-bodied outside receiver. He can win jump ball situations. KJ Hamler is used all over the field, uses speed, creates separation, run after catch. It makes sense that he'd be the one to take Judy's role, but it's a downgrade. But if you look at Teddy Bridgewater's body of work, he's the kind of receiver he targets.
Yeah.
So he could be a very good option for them, but this sucks. I was really excited about Jerry Judy.
I was as well.
He was in my top 24. I was really pumped for him.
Yeah, and the game that he was having, I was already like, yes, this is happening. We're watching it happen, and all of a sudden he gets hurt, and it's like, it's all over with. It sucks. All right, so let's talk about another running back here. A guy that we all expected to get this crazy volume in this offense, Mr. James Robinson. I literally wrote on the show sheet, James Robinson, the fuck, ? So, Mike, I'm going to go to you first on this one. What the hell happened with this?
I'll say it right now. I had someone ask me on Twitter if you should press the panic button. Don't press the panic button, but put your hand over it. Because Urban Meyer does not belong in the NFL as a coach. He belongs in college or announcing. And that is the reason, not the talent of James Robinson. It is Urban Meyer who is going to ruin James Robinson's season.
Yeah, it was brutal. I mean, I had James Robinson in literally most of my DFS lineups. Had him in my cash lineup. I thought, this guy's getting all the volume. There's no way they're not giving him the ball. And I think he had 7 carries, 8 carries, something like that. 5 carries. Yeah, not even. It's just brutal. Ryan, what are your thoughts on
or something?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on this one, Ryan?
I mean, he said Urban Meyer's nightmare. One saving grace, and this is really pushing it, his game script really played him out of the game because Carlos Hyde can't catch the ball, so they probably had him on the field more and more sound when it comes to pass protection because you want to protect your rookie quarterback and his first started through 51 freaking times. But with them even playing the lead, though, this team is looking like to be the worst team in football.
Yeah.
It's not good, and I know last year he did it on this bad of a team, but this year they're not going to run the ball because of Trevor Lawrence. I think that ceiling just dropped down like 8 floors.
Yeah, it's sad to see. I thought there would be, when ETN was there, I think, okay, 50-50 split. Maybe he doesn't get as much. Then when ETN went down, I'm like, all right, it's the James Robinson show, but it turns out that it's not. It's the Carlos Hyde show, apparently.
It's Trevor Lawrence and his receivers.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yep. Good call.
The running backs are going to be bad for us.
Let's stick here with the running back situation, and Ryan, we'll go to you first because this is your guy. Mr. Tyson Williams looked pretty good on Monday night. What do you think? Do you think that it's going to be Tyson Williams going forward, or is Latavius Murray kind of eating to that?
I think it was super aggravating because he was absolutely eating in the first half, and then they quit running him.
Yeah.
But again, probably gives pass protection. And Lamar was running for his life most of the game, and you need all the help you can get, especially fullback and tight ends out, too. So hopefully we get more volume out of him. It may not be this week, but there's a good thing. He caught some balls, which we haven't seen in the past out of the Ravens running backs. There's a lot to look forward to. I don't think he's going to get much more than 50% of the market share, and which is completely fine, but again, I don't see him being an RB1. Like stepping in, being what we thought J.K. Dobbins would be.
Yeah,
he's another guy who's just in that RB2-3 category, who can have some big weeks.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page as you. He's definitely not RB1, but I do think he didn't do anything to hurt himself, at least in this first game. They gave him a chance to show what he can do. He looked pretty good. What about you, Mike? What are your thoughts on this Ravens backfield? And then going even beyond the two that started this past week, but they still got the Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell on that team as well.
Yeah, and they cut Trenton Cannon, so they're going to bring one of those two up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we signed Trenton Cannon actually right after y'all cut him. We picked him up, so he's been bounced around. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so Harbaugh said that he was going to play all the running backs, and that's not a surprise. Like Ryan said, the percentage isn't going to be super high for Williams. To me, it's either Williams or Murray are the only two to own. I think Freeman is going to be probably the fourth man, but Bell is not anything. It's just a name.
Yep.
He's not going to be fantasy relevant, and if he is, it's one game. And if he does have that one game, do not go out and buy him because there will be people that will.
Yeah.
No, and the reason he's on the practice squad is because he wasn't in shape yet.
Yeah, you can't just get in shape in a week. It's just not going to happen.
No.
If that could happen, I'd be in shape because it's just not going to happen.
No, I still wouldn't.
Yeah. All right, let's move to a receiver here. Brandon Ayuk, who didn't even play a snap in the first quarter. We're not really sure exactly what happened. I think Shanahan came out today and said if Ayuk wants to play on every single play, he needs to be better than the guy in front of him, which is not really a good thing to say about your receiver. We've seen this happen before with Shanahan when he did it to Dante Pettis. Pettis had a good rookie season, and then all of a sudden Pettis was a nobody the next season. Are you worried about Brandon Ayuk, Mike?
Yes, because Shanahan is the coach. I mean, you never know Shanahan, like you said about Pettis. I mean, they do have Debo. It seems like he likes Sherfield. I picked him up in a deep league just to stash him just in case. They do have Kittle. They have the running. I mean, they have the weapons to probably do it without Ayuk, and that's what scares me. Because I loved Ayuk, and I picked him up in a few spots in the offseason. But, yeah, I am a little scared about it.
Ryan, what are your thoughts? I can't remember what side of the fence you were on. Were you on the Ayuk or the Debo side?
Am I allowed to victory lap Debo Samuel yet?
Yeah, I was going to say, I couldn't remember what side of the fence you were on.
I've been talking about Debo Samuel all offseason. He was a better receiver because he's a good route runner, great separation, can run out of the catch, he has great hands. But that's besides the point. We don't need to get into that. But no, we're looking at a guy who's guaranteed at best third in targets on this team, behind Debo and Kittle. And this is an offense that scored 41 points on 25 pass attempts.
Yeah.
Like, we are not going to see this team throwing 50 times. It's just not 49ers ball. They're going to run it. They're going to funnel the game through Kittle and Debo. So unless there's that nuclear explosion last year where he has no competition for targets, I don't really want any parts of him.
Yeah, it's funny because Gerson just wrote in the chat here, okay, Chris Collinsworth, because you said, so here's a guy, and you said it just like Chris Collinsworth, and I was thinking the exact same thing, and Gerson just put it in the chat. That was pretty funny. But yeah, I'm with you. I think I'm nervous. Especially, I wasn't as nervous until I heard that comment about him being better than the guy in front of him. That's definitely not something you want to hear your coach go public with.
They said he wasn't he's learned how to be a professional. Like,
yeah.
It's a lot more than that. It's off the field as well.
Yeah, there's definitely some things going on there. I mean, because the guys in front of him are, like we mentioned, were Trent Sherfield and Mohamed Sanu, who I mean, aren't really, the greatest receivers out there. I think Mohamed Sanu's days are behind him. Sherfield's been bounced around the league for quite a while and couldn't show a whole lot of anything. So if Ayuk can't outplay those two guys, there's definitely a problem. All right, we got about 5 minutes into the halfway point here, so let's knock out these next ones really quick. We'll combine this one. I had the Packers, question mark, and then Jameis Winston from that same game. Ryan, give me your thoughts on Winston and what you think of the Packers bouncing back.
Have you ever seen the movie Freaky Friday?
Yes.
That's what happened with Jameis Winston and Aaron Rodgers. They body switched or something before that game.
Yeah.
It makes no freaking sense. But I don't know, man. I'm really nervous. I'm not nervous about it, but I'm cautious about it. There's a very big wait and see week for Aaron Rodgers. He bounces back because there's an inkling in me, just an inkling that he just got that paycheck and checked out and doesn't care. It's real. He was smirking on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I'm not hitting the panic button yet, but if they have one of those glass containers over the panic button, I'm lifting that and getting ready to slap that if there's another bad game. Yeah. But if he's not there, that whole team follows him. And then Jameis just had an out-of-body experience with numbers that aren't realistic. He literally scored a touchdown on every 4 pass attempts.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's not going to happen again. He might have a really good season, but this is not happening again. 5 touchdowns on 148 yards? Come on now.
Yeah, we just saw his best game of the year, I think, in my opinion.
It's absurd.
Mike, what are your thoughts on this Packers and then Jameis Winston?
For Winston, I agree with Ryan about everything he said, but I will say I think he's going to have a decent year.
Yeah.
But he's going to have a decent year, but there's no way you can expect this out of him. He won't even have a game with 300 yards and 5 TDs. No. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Sean Payton's the perfect coach for him.
Yeah,
if you listen to the show, I've always said Winston needs a coach who is regimented, hard-ass, and keeps everything in check, and that's what Payton is. And it showed this week.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Payton's not going to put him in positions to throw 30 interceptions. He's not going to.
No, he's not going to say you can throw Mike Evans anytime you want.
Yeah.
And for the Rodgers situation, don't panic yet. No. I think it'll be okay, but I do agree with Ryan where watching the game, I'm sitting there going, all right, is he already in Hawaii? Is his brain already there?
Yeah.
Or is he proving a point? It's just, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Did y'all see that stat that PFF put out that if he threw the ball in the dirt, every snap, that his passer rating would be higher than it was that game? So if he dropped back 28 times and just threw the ball in the dirt, his passer rating would be higher than it was. It's crazy.
That's a crazy stat.
Yeah, it's a crazy stat. I couldn't believe it. I actually had to look it up, but it's true. I think the interceptions and the lack of yardage and everything else just killed it. All right, one last one really quick, and this might hurt a little bit, Ryan, because this guy was probably part of the reason y'all lost on Monday night. But for about three quarters and a half, three quarters, almost to the end of the fourth quarter here, Bryan Edwards was nobody. He was the same player he was last year, nobody. And then all of a sudden, it was like Derek Carr woke up and found the green light with Bryan Edwards and just kept throwing them the ball. Which Bryan Edwards are you believing in? Are you believing in the one that played the first 3.5 quarters or the one that played the last 10 minutes or whatever it was?
I mean, I like the talent, so I believe the one late in the game. I remember it was 3rd and 10 in the second quarter, and him and Henry Ruggs weren't on the field. And I was flabbergasted.
Yeah.
I didn't know what they were doing. And when the game mattered the most, and they were really trying to come back and battling for that lead, that's when he was in the game getting targets. When somebody's in those situations and gets fed, that gives me confidence in the player. So I always like talent. I think he's going to open up. I don't know how much volume he can get with Darren Waller being targeted 19 times. Yeah. But he could be their number 2 target.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was very weird, that whole offensive game plan that they had, and they just kept throwing the ball to Waller. They were, and the Ravens, when they played him well, they bumped him at the line, and then they stopped bumping him, and he started killing him. I don't go back to what was working. Why'd you stop bumping him at the line? But
I'm super frustrated about it still. Yeah, I could talk about that defensive game plan all night and just have a fit.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Mike, what are your thoughts on Bryan Edwards?
I think he's somewhere in between the two, but I do like the talent, and I think there's a lot of promise. It's just the game plan and Chucky and his – sometimes he just doesn't know – it doesn't seem like they know how to use the right talent in the right spots. Just like you guys said about the play at the half, with Ruggs and him being out. There's certain we don't know what to do with the running situation when they're both healthy. We don't know what to do with the wide receiver situation. Ruggs is a first-round pick, but is he really that top-end talent? Is Edwards closer to him? I think so. But like Ryan said, with Waller being there and getting 19 targets and 12 or 13 in the first half or something like that, you're never going to be able to break huge games with that situation.
Yeah, agreed. All right, that wraps up the news and notes. Let's get to our to pay some bills here. This show is brought to you by ThriveFantasy.com. It's DFS for prop bets. Visit ThriveFantasy.com or download the app for iOS or Android. Use our promo code Armchair and get an instant match up to $50. Choose your 10 favorite prop bets to build your lineup to compete against the rest of the field for cash prizes. Sign up again at ThriveFantasy.com. Get the app for iOS or Android and use promo code Armchair to receive your instant match. All right, we're going to get into our next segment here in 1 second.
Going for Two Live and PlayPickup.com present the Pickup Props of the Week.
All right, we have a surprise guest. I was waiting for him to come on. He took a little bit longer than I expected to. Gerson, are you there?
Raiders! What up, Ryan?
Hi, Gary.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm fine.
You answered my call.
I'm glad you won your Super Bowl, buddy.
No, that's not a Super Bowl. I'm just saying, man.
Congrats on your Super Bowl. It's cool.
Look, you guys had 3 chances to finish us out. You couldn't do it. You know why? Because I was at the game. I was cheering them on. It was that good vibe.
Yeah, Gerson was literally at the game.
That game was so crazy, Ryan. That team actually looked pretty good. I'm a little worried about you guys have no wide receivers at all. But obviously, I think what's the name? Bateman coming back will be good.
I'm worried about the line in the corner.
Yeah, but no, that game was awesome. Mike, by the way, I'm going to go to the Kansas City game. Me and my brother decided that today.
Nice.
We're going to go back to Vegas, go watch the Kansas City game. If anybody hasn't gone to Las Vegas, well, nobody has. Actually.
Nobody has. Yeah, you were the first one. You're the inaugural fan base.
Yeah, but great.
Been there yet, like everybody else.
Yeah, I know. Man, it was crazy though. Hey, you know what? It fucked up though because I was sitting next to 15 Raven fans. They all came and did this. We have a private forum group. We all travel and go watch Ravens, and I'm like, a little gay, but okay, whatever. I'll let you be. And but they actually kept leaving. They left because they thought they won the game. Then they come back down. All the Raiders fans are like, "Oh, what happened?" And then after that, the second time they're like, "All right, we're good, we won." They left, and then they got to come back down. And then we waited a third time. They never showed up.
They never came back. Yeah.
Hey, good luck, guys. Have a great show. Keep killing it. But Ryan, no hard feeling, buddy. I still love you, man.
I wish those Ravens fans would beat you up.
Hey, it's okay. They can try to beat me up, but there's 60,000 Raiders fans that would back me up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that would have been a mistake.
Would have been a bad choice.
All right, peace out, Jeff.
All right, Gerson. I'll see you Friday. All right. So yeah, I wanted Gerson to pop in there. He took a little bit longer than I thought he would.
He literally just wanted to come in and talk trash, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He asked me before the show if I can get him on. I was like, yeah, man, I'll get you on after the break. So.
My God.
Yeah, when you were talking earlier about ignoring Gerson's call before the show, I was like, oh, yeah, you're going to get it this show. You can't avoid it this time. All right, let's get to the prop bets of the week. If you haven't heard how we do this, so we have a new sponsor now. It is PlayPickup.com. It basically does prop bets that we embed into our articles at GoingFor2.com. It allows you to vote on your favorite side of the prop bet. If you enter your phone number to verify your pick, it'll keep track of your picks, and the picks you get right, you earn points, and those points can then be turned in for free stuff like Fanatic gift cards. I think I saw today they had some MLB team wooden like shot glasses that are pretty cool. So yeah, just go check out any of our articles. We're going to have these polls posted in all of them. But the one that we had this week for the show, you can go on there. It's basically week 2 prop bets of the week. We got 5 prop bets we'll talk about tonight. And the first one, Ryan, I'll go to you first, is how many total touchdowns, so over-under total touchdowns for Burrow in week 2. And the over-under is set at 2.5.
I'm leaning heavily towards the under. I think the Bears' defense is a lot better than we saw this week against the Rams, who were just clicking and seemed like a really good team. I think they're going to hold up a lot better against the Bengals, who still have some questions, who are just in a really good matchup this week. So I'm going to go the under on this one.
All right. Mike, what do you got? Over, under, Burrow, total touchdowns, 2.5.
Under. He's going to get 2.
He'll get 2? Okay. All right. So going under. It looks like the field is going a little bit over. It's pretty close. 57% say over, 43 say under. I'm going under as well because I agree with Ryan. I think that that defense is pretty good, and I think Burrow will only get probably 2 touchdowns. Like Mike, I agree. So I think he's going to be under as well. The next one, I'll go to you first, Mike. This one is Allen Robinson, who had a pretty rough week 1 against a pretty good defense. His over-under receiving yards in week 2, the line is set at 79.5. So over-under 79.5 for Allen Robinson in week 2.
This one's really close to me, but I'm going to go with the over. I think he's going to get around 85 to 90. He's not going to get to 100, but it'll be right over 80.
All right. Ryan?
Yeah, I'm going to go over. He doesn't have Jalen Ramsey shadowing him this week. And we may start seeing a little more Justin Fields in there here and there, but the biggest thing, they're not playing the same kind of defense and not playing against Jalen Ramsey because there's not many guys who can lock him up.
Yeah, agreed. I think Allen Robinson goes over as well. I think he's got a nice big bounce back week waiting to happen in the wings. Let's see where the field went. Yeah, the field was with us on the over, 90% on the over, 10% on the under. So everybody's in agreement that Allen Robinson's going to have a big week too. The next one is DeAndre Hopkins, over under 7.5 catches for week 2. Where are you going with this one, Ryan?
I'm going unsexy on this, and I'm saying under.
Ooh.
The reason I'm going for the under is I think they're going to beat the living crap out of Minnesota, and they're not going to have to throw enough to do that. I just don't think it's in the game script where he's going to have to catch 8 balls.
All right, going under based on game script. What about you, Mike?
I'm going over because I think they get to that game script because of him.
That's fair.
Fair.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going over as well on this one. I had D-Hop as my number 1 receiver this year in redraft, and if he's going to get to that number 1 spot, then he needs to catch a lot of passes. So this one's a little bit selfish. I'm going over as well for 7.5. I think he gets 8, but it will be over 7.5. All right, another receiver that had a bad week 1, Davonte Adams, over under for his receiving yards for week 2. It's set at 114.5. That's a pretty steep number there, Ryan. What are you doing with Davonte Adams? 114.5.
Yeah, I'm going under. That's 114.5. That's really freaking high. Like, I know he's one of the best receivers in the league, but that's a lot for that, and I'm gonna play it safe. It's not even like matchup or anything like that. I'm not betting on anybody over that.
Yeah, that's a pretty high number. What about you, Mike?
I gotta go under. I mean, like we said earlier in the show, when you need Aaron Rodgers to have a bounce back game and you're not sure on him, if you're not sure on Aaron Rodgers, you can't be sure on the wide receivers.
Fair point.
And 114 yards for an offense that we're unsure about, I'm not willing to put that down.
Yeah, I'm going under as well. I think Davonte Adams can have a bounce back game, be under 114 yards, and just have multiple touchdowns. So I think it will be under. It looks like the field's with us as well at 56%. They're going under on the 114.5. It's a pretty steep line there. So I agree, under on that one. Last one we have here is combined touchdowns for Julio Jones and A.J. Brown in week 2. The line is set at 1.5. What do you got, Ryan? Over or under on this one?
I'm taking over. I think last week was just kind of a blip for this team. they're bound to get better. There's a lot of clicking to do when you have new receivers like that. They're also Arizona's defense shocked a lot of people. They played a lot better than we expected, and we're not gonna. It's gonna be more of a shootout. It's gonna be a shootout in Seattle, and they don't have that kind of secondary. So I'm kind of leaning towards the over.
What about you, Mike? Over under 1.5 for Julio Jones, AJ Brown.
I'm right with Ryan on the over. I just think they're going to come out, like you said, they're going to come out firing. They're going to be better than they were. There was a couple games that were just because it was week 1 and they were going against different, good defenses. Taylor Lewan even came out and said that he had it on his own Twitter and said that Chandler Jones ate him up. Tannehill didn't have any time. And to give a little hint to one of the things I'm going to bring up on Friday's show, I'm picking Tennessee to upset Seattle in Seattle. So for that to happen, this has to happen.
Yeah, I like it. And Julio Jones dropped a touchdown last week. If he hadn't dropped it, they would have had 2 touchdowns total. So I think they had a terrible game. They almost still went over this 1.5 line. So I'm going over as well. And the field agrees with us. 90% are going over 1.5. I think they both score at least 1. And one of them may even get 2 touchdowns. So I agree. I think this is going to be a shootout of a game. I like Tennessee as well. All right.
Let's play Devil's Advocate.
All right. The way Devil's Advocate works is our guest, who is Mike tonight, gives us 3 guys that he is higher on than the field for the week upcoming. So the 3 guys that Mike is higher on this week is Chase Edmunds, Hollywood Brown, and Laviska Shenault. He will get 1 minute to talk about his first guy here, and then Ryan gets to play devil's advocate and tear this guy down and tell you why you should not play him. So Chase Edmunds, Mike, you're on the clock. 1 minute. Tell us why you love Chase Edmunds.
All right, so in week 1, they did split the carries 50% to 50% with Connor. He had 63 yards on 12 carries, 5 yards per carry. He had 4 catches for 43 yards. He had 4 evaded tackles. I believe that he's going to get more of a line share. I think it's going to be more like 65 to 35 in the carries. And I think he's going to get 6 to 7 targets instead of 4. And I think the game script later on in the game is going to be towards Connor, but early in the game and into the beginning of the third quarter is going to be more towards Chase Edmunds.
Yeah,
I have him right around 20 this week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Firmly in the RB2 category there. I like it. All right, Ryan, give us reasons to not like Chase this week.
Yeah, I'm not there. Going back to DeAndre Hopkins thing, I think the game plan is not the game script's not one that is conducive to what Chase Edmunds does. Chase Edmunds is a pass-catching back, built off speed, and they should be playing with the lead. They should be giving a heavy dose to Connor running out the clock. And as Mike mentioned earlier, we were talking about the big week for DeAndre Hopkins and them getting there through him. If they're getting there through the passing game early and often, that means they're not getting it through 6 to 7 targets to Chase Edmunds. So I think it's just not the week for him. He'll have weeks, but this isn't one I'm trusting him in any specific starting spot.
All right. The next one up is kind of interesting because it's a Raven. It's Hollywood Brown, who Ryan's a fan of, and that player is going up against Mike's team. So Mike is actually high on Hollywood Brown going against his Chiefs, and Ryan's got to tear his own guy down in Hollywood Brown. So Mike, you got 1 minute. Give us why you like Hollywood Brown against your Chiefs.
All right. So in the game against the Raiders, he did have 6 catches on 6 targets for 69 yards and a touchdown with 20% target share. But here's the thing. The Chiefs absolutely stink at covering the tight end. They just do. I think Mark Andrews is the reason I am higher on Hollywood Brown. I think Mark Andrews is going to have a really good game. I think he's going to open up the space for Hollywood Brown. And I think Hollywood Brown's going to get some of the short and intermediate passes. And I think Hollywood Brown's going to have a bounce-back year for sure. I think he can end up with around the same amount of catches, another 80-something yards, and another touchdown. Yeah. I think this is going to be a shootout still.
Yeah, I was surprised how much Andrews was not used in that first game there. I was happy because I didn't have him in DFS, and I ended up making some money. But Andrews was barely used in that first game. I think they're going to realize, oh, wait a minute, we have Andrews in this game, and they're going to utilize him against the Chiefs. And you're right, that could open up Hollywood Brown. If you forget about him for 1 second, he's got the speed to go deep on you. Ryan, give us your thoughts on Hollywood Brown. Tear him down.
So I don't really want to because I think it's a really good game plan for him, and a lot of what he said is true. Coming from a fan's perspective is the only real reason I think he may not or should not is because the Ravens can't beat the Chiefs playing Chiefs football. Like, they can't get in a game where they're slinging it over and over again because every time they play the Chiefs, they've completely quit doing what they do, which is run the ball well, in which they quit doing this week. But every time they play the Chiefs, they quit running and try to go deep pass for deep pass and throw with them, and it doesn't work. So my only downside with him would be is if Baltimore decided to try to dictate the game and play their style of football.
Go super conservative, you think? Run the ball a lot and
ball control. Try to play a little safer on defense. I don't like. There's the chance, but I'm not really betting on it. Like, I think it could be a really good week for Hollywood.
All right. Last guy Mike has on his list here is a popular guy that came, in the offseason that was popular for breakout season. Had a pretty good week one, not a great week one compared to the other two guys on his team, but Laviska Shenault. Mike, give us your reasons why you like Laviska Shenault this week.
All right, so I have been tearing down Urban Meyer all offseason and on the show, but 7 catches for 50 yards, 9 targets, 18.5% target share. But here's the thing. This team is horrible. They are going to throw the ball. They don't like to run it at all. He's going to get short yardage. He's going to get like the little quick screens. He's going to get – I think this is one of the only guys that I think is going to be consistent all year on this team for the offense because Urban Meyer loves this kind of a player. And since he lost Travis Etienne, he's going to put Viska in that kind of role. And I think Viska's going to have to do something because they're going to be behind on Denver. Game script, they're going to be throwing the ball all game, probably, 40 times probably.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I think Laviska is the one that they're using as the ETN role, and I do think he's going to get targets galore. Ryan, do you actually believe in Shenault this week? And if obviously you're playing devil's advocate here, but if you were just to take that out of the equation, do you like Laviska Shenault?
I'm very just lukewarm on this Shenault this week. Like, if I have to start him, I will, and I'm okay with it. I'm not jumping for joy, and I'm not, worried about it. Like, it's very just a bluff feeling about him. Mainly because I hate Urban Meyer, and I don't think he knows what the hell he's doing. And also, I think Denver has a really good defense. I mean, I think they have talent everywhere. They can cover. They've always been good in the secondary. And they maybe will slow him down, especially if they know he's a focal point of that offense with the amount of targets he got. So I think Denver's defense can slow him down a little bit and maybe slow down Trevor Lawrence as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Broncos is a defense that we kind of forgot about because they were so injured last year. They do have some good players.
Corner, multiple good corners.
They really do. And then, of course, you got Von Miller. And then I think Chubb actually missed the last game, but he was very, very close to playing. So chances are he plays this week, and that's going to be bad news for that offense.
Patrick Surtain Jr. is such a nice matchup against him because he's physical, fast. He has that really athletic skill set, very similar to Shenault. And something like that can slow him down a lot.
Yeah, good call. All right, let's get to some of the listener questions here. We got a couple that were in the chat that I want to get to first, and then we'll get to the ones that I pulled off of Facebook and Twitter. The first one on here is very generic, and it's I guess based on his week one here. But John wants to know just a simple question: would you trade Derrick Henry? Ryan, I'll go to you first.
That's so loaded. What
Yeah.
do I trade Derrick Henry for? Are we talking redraft or dynasty? It's such a complicated question. So I'm not rushing to trade Derrick Henry. In dynasty, I'm probably going to try to move on from him. And I'm not doing it right now. I'm waiting until he has a big week or two. He has some really easy games coming up. That's what I'm going to do, not at this point in time. Redraft, I'm contending. I'm probably not going to get a running back who's better than Derrick Henry. It's really not. So I'm not looking to trade him in redraft. So, yes and no. It just depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Redraft, I'm holding on. Definitely not. I'm not selling low on any of these. One bad week, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But dynasty, I might move on if I get some young talented backs, or if I'm not going to be a contender, but it's going to be on my terms and when that guy's performing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that if I'm going to sell Derrick Henry, it's not now, because I think the game that he had, wasn't a very good game, so his value is probably a little bit depressed. So I think I would probably wait on trading Derrick Henry until he has a big game, and then if you want to move on from him, go ahead and do that. All right, Mike, I'm going to give you the next question here. I believe it came from Gerson. He's asking about Kyler Murray, and it's a season-long total question. So is Kyler Murray going to break the all-time fantasy points scored in the season? Of course, he had a huge week 1. He was playing really well last year until he got hurt. Do you think it's within their own possibilities that Kyler Murray breaks that record?
I don't think it's going to happen. He's got a couple tough. I know Seattle's weak, but he's got games against a couple good defenses in his division. He's got some other tough matchups, and I don't think they're going to have to do what they did every game. And not every game script is going to be the way it is, and I don't think they're going to score that many points every game.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't even know what the total points is. I don't even know what the record is. I didn't look it up. So, he just dropped it in the chat. So
I think that Kyler Murray and Patrick Mahomes both beat it because there's an extra game this season.
Yes, that's true.
There is, yeah.
I forgot about the extra game.
That extra game, that's 20 extra points right there.
Yeah,
Boom.
it's a good call. That's a good call. They could definitely do it. All right, let's get to some of these Facebook and Twitter questions here. First one was from Nathan Sim. It's a 1 QB PPR dynasty, and on the one side, the person is receiving ETN and a 2022 first-round pick, and they are sending Tyson Williams and a 2022 second. So you got Travis Etienne in the first on one side, Tyson Williams in the second on the other side. Mike, which side are you taking here?
I'm taking the ETN side because we don't even know what Tyson's going to be load-wise. If we knew he was going to be like a JK or a Gus Edwards type, that might be a little, but he's not. It's not happening. So no.
Yep.
It has to be the ETN side. First-round talent and a first-round pick.
Yep. Ryan, let me get your thought on this one as well.
Yeah, this isn't close.
Agreed.
I'm smashing this and getting Etienne in first before they realize they made a mistake. It's an easy deal for me. Etienne has really high upside in the future. He's going to get thrown to in that offense. Hopefully, Meyer's gone by then, by the time he's back. But he has a ton of upside. He's uber talented. First-round pick's obviously first-round pick. And Tyson Williams is probably going to move third string next year, no matter how well he does, or he finds himself on a different team. And that's even if he rushes for 1,200 yards.
Yeah.
He's just not as talented as those other backs.
Yeah, I'm with you both on this one. I think this one's pretty one-sided. I think I almost would take the first-round pick for Tyson Williams in the second. I even take ETN off the equation there, and the fact that he's getting ETN as well even makes it even better. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's one-sided. Give me the ETN and first-round pick for sure. All right, the next one is another trade question. Would you guys trade Tyreek Hill for DK Metcalf and Mark Andrews? I'm going to go to you first, Ryan.
I think so. Reason being, Tyreek's by far the best player in this trade. And I'd normally say go to the best player, but DK is not far behind. And Mark Andrews is more than enough shoring up the tight end spot to do that. I know he sucked so bad this week, including that overtime drop, but he's an upgrade to your tight end position unless you have Kelsey, Hopkins, or Wallace. So yeah. I'm smashed. I'm probably going to make that deal. Because if the DK could be just as good as Tyreek this year, they could be 1-3 or 1-5, and that's not a big point difference.
Yep, I agree. All right, just for the sake of time, we'll just go 1-1-1 all the way through the rest of these. So Bradley Jarrett is hurting for QB in a super flex. How much fab should I drop on Heineke with Fitz gone? Obviously, he's probably already done that because waivers cleared already. But just hypothetically speaking, Mike, what do you think was a good fab number for Heineke with Fitz being gone?
I've seen as low as 10, and I've seen as low as I've seen as high as 50, but I'd probably go about 30.
About 30.
If you really need the help, I'd go about 30.
Yeah, I think that's probably where I'd be in there too. Unless I was really, really hurting and I want to make sure that I got a quarterback to start, I do think 30 is probably where I'd be at as well. Ryan, would you trade Jamar Chase straight up for Terry McLaurin in a full PPR league? It doesn't say redraft for Dynasty because that would make a big difference there. So let's just assume it's a redraft league. Are you doing that?
I think I'm doing either format. I think I'd rather have McLaurin. I love Jamar Chase's talent, even in Dynasty. Obviously, Dynasty, I think he has top 5 potential, but Terry McLaurin's good, man. It kind of he mentioned earlier about like QB proof thing. He's shown it so far. If he can do it with Heineke, my God, once they get to the point where they can get a new quarterback in a year or two, he could be in for just bonkers numbers, and I think he can still have a really good season this year. Like, he's a damn good receiver, and he has high floor and ceiling. So I'm going with that.
Yep.
And no competition.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a smash for me. I think I'm going McLaurin side as well. No hesitation whatsoever. All right, this next one is a sit-start question, and it's from Going for Two's own Jared Good. He says this was going to be the hardest sit question you'll see all week, and it's only Tuesday. So his sit-start, I'm guessing he only has to start one of these guys. Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams, Allen Robinson, or Tyreek Hill. And if you're making this decision, like, how loaded is your roster for one? But then he says standard scoring, which changes things a little bit for me. But Mike, give me your thoughts here. You got to start one: Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams, Allen Robinson, Tyreek Hill.
It says you sit one.
Oh, sit one.
Oh, just sit one. Oh, you're right. He did say just sit one, not start one. So you're just sitting one of those guys.
Normally, I'm the one who can't read.
I am gonna sit Mike Williams.
Sit Mike Williams. You agree with that, Ryan? Think Mike Williams is to sit there? Standard scoring.
Yeah. If this is PPR, I'd completely agree with you. But it's standard scoring. Deontay Johnson, 14 targets for 10 receptions and 62 yards and no touchdowns isn't going to be better than Mike Williams, 40 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's the caveat for me is standard scoring.
I forgot the standard.
Yeah, standard scoring.
Dude, it's so hard to even remember because I can't remember the last time I got a standard league.
Yeah.
But you know what? All leagues are good leagues, so not going to knock it.
I was going to knock it. I was going to say, Jared, my advice to you is to sit your roster because standard scoring needs to be PPR. At least get a half PPR in there. At least get something. I've been playing fantasy football for, 23, 24 years. I've never actually played the standard league. My very first league was actually an IDP PPR league.
Go the opposite. Go touchdown only.
Touchdown only. Just there you go. All right.
I know one of those leagues that's still going on.
I know some people told me about them, and it's just blows
my mind. Yeah, blows my mind. I can't understand it. I don't know. I would not play in one of those leagues. All right, it's time for our most popular segment of the night.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Mike, we had a pretty good one last week. Let's keep the string going here. Who do you got for your Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week?
Lendell White.
Lendell White. Oof. Give us some stats on Mr. Lendell White.
All right, so in the 1 year that he did really, really good, he played 4 years in the NFL, but in 2007 he had 303 rushing yards or 303 attempts, 1,110 yards, and 7 touchdowns. But in 2008 he had 200 rushing yards or 200 attempts, 770 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns.
Wow.
So he had 100 fewer carries than the year prior, 400 yards less rushing, but 8 more tutties.
That's crazy.
What a nightmare. I love it. I remember them giving him the ball on fourth and one of that national championship when they had Reggie Bush, who's just slaughtered everybody, and him gets stuck behind the line.
Yeah, that's a really good one, Mike. That's a really good one. Actually, I'm trying to even remember who he even played for. Who did he play for in the NFL?
Tennessee.
Yeah, that's right. Wow, that's a good one, Mike. You definitely came strong with that one for sure.
I like that one.
All right, that wraps the podcast up. Let's go around the room really quick. Give us your Twitter handles, and if you want to plug anything, Mike, we'll go to you first.
All right, you can find me on Twitter at DropTheMikeFF, and you can find me Friday nights on the Going for Two Live Network on the Friday Night Cheat Sheet.
Good stuff. Ryan, what you got?
Find me on Twitter at Foss534. Find me here Wednesday nights. Find me over at the NFL Draft Bible. Our podcast drops Wednesday mornings as well. I'm also been doing some card box breaks here with Jason Sarney, and I'm doing raffles for cards. I've given away 2 Trevor Lawrence rookies in the past 2 weeks.
Nice.
Probably have another one on the way here soon too. So keep a lookout for them as well.
Good stuff. All right, guys, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Make sure you check out our Friday DFS show right here on the same network. We're at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and Gerson and Tim go over the DFS slate for week 2. We had a little bit of a rough week 1. It wasn't too terrible, but we did miss some calls. But I think week 2 is going to be better for us. So for Mike, for Ryan, I'm Jeff, and we will see y'all next week.